Hi everyone, this is Lori with 3 Keys Astrology and Lada's newest advanced intuitive astrologer. First of all, thank you so much for your warm, loving, and caring comments in my last videos for the weekly scopes in November. It's a pleasure to get to know all of you, and I really appreciate your kindness. This world, the theme, most of what I talked about for November was for people to have, sorry, I'm moving this chair around. Uh, um, and I also welcome all your compliments and suggestions for the aesthetics. I am trying. Um, Making videos is not my favorite part. I'm an analyzer. Excuse me, please. So in this video today, our subject is Ghislane Maxwell. I have been watching what's going on in the news for over 2 years now concerning this person, and I've done the analysis of Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislane Maxwell, and Prince Andrew. And I'd like you to, if you don't do it afterward, do it before. I'm going to ask that Lada have a link to the video that I made for you in mid-September. So if you go to Lada's YouTube channel and you Google, um, see the Triple Tryst Celebrity Webinar, Tryst, T-R-Y-S-T, with Lori. And this explains why the person that we're talking about today became the person she is. This is about Ghislane Maxwell, born 25 December 1961. She will be 60 years old on Christmas Day, and she was born in Maison Lafitte, France. She is currently incarcerated in New York City. She's been in prison since July 2020, and she's accused of perjury. She's accused of procuring minors for a pedophile and criminally convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Her lover, her cohort, her companion. It is noted that she was introduced to him by her father. Her father explained in that celebrity webinar with Lori, the Triple Tryst, talks about destiny. And before Ghislane Maxwell was born, she would be the ninth children and favorite child of Robert Maxwell, for whom her father had a pseudonym. Robert Maxwell is not his real name. And in the video that I gave you, the celebrity webinar Triple Tryst with Lori, I look into the inner psychological aspects and complexes of her father, for whom she shares not only DNA, but also astrological DNA and significant, there's like significant mirroring in their lives because the Geminian complex is something that's very, very interesting. And it's because there's two parts. There's always, wherever you have Gemini in your chart, there's a side that people can see and there's a side people can't see forever. Her father was right on her ascendant with his Geminian complex. And in true Geminian profession, he ran a couple of ragtime tabloid newspapers, not only in London but in New York. He adored his daughter so much he named the yacht that he owned Lady Ghislane. But in that Geminian complex, the exchange of money was manipulated, and it's not evident and factually proven yet that Robert Maxwell had some financial underpinnings with Jeffrey Epstein, and he amassed billions of dollars in his lifetime. Both he and Jeffrey Epstein had mysterious demises, end of life. Some people think Jeffrey Epstein is still alive. What do you think? Put your comments below, and please subscribe and share my hard work and my fellow astrologers on AstroLada.com. I started a series in October called Crimes, Critters, and Criminals, something like that. Cruelty. And this is apropos for that subject. So today we're talking about destiny. Who we are is what the astrologer analyzes, and who we meet in our lifetimes determine our destiny. We can see clearly in Ghislane Maxwell's chart that she has major codependency issues. and I'll talk about those in a moment. We can also see in the demeanor of her father and herself and in her mother, for Ghislane has a moon in Leo. So this talks about a very proud, regal, royal mother. But their whole lives were based on the lie of this feigned British accent. She was born in France. Her mother's French. Her father's Czechoslovakian. Was a Jew also who fought with Hitler against his own bloodline. He had 14 different names, changes in his lifetime, and probably more. Gemini, there's always something else going on. And so um, this importance applies while we're examining the life of someone who's about to go on trial for perjury, sex trafficking, and procuring minors for this pedophile. It begins 29 November, and we'll follow this and stay and see what's going on. My predictions are that she doesn't get away with this. She's got Pluto right on her Saturn, and she probably doesn't get away with this. The moon at this moment in time was with Uranus at our eclipse energy in the 12th house of secrets, forbidden pleasures, things that go on behind closed doors, something for which father and daughter Maxwell have serious attachments to, and live their lives showing a face of they were feigned socialites that had amassed great material wealth, but were totally different people behind closed doors. And the other interesting thing about Ghislaine Maxwell's chart that we'll talk about is when I did the Britney Spears conservatorship for you, and yay, Britney's free. My conclusion in that video for you, when Lada launched me in July, was that Britney would indeed have to deliver herself from her mother and her father. And while the media focus was all on this father, I knew and could feel there were issues with Mama too. My conclusion at that video was that Britney, although born unto these parents in this lifetime, would have to literally deliver herself from mother and father, and she has. And if you're watching, Britney, we love you and we celebrate your freedom. Astrology is ruled by freedom, and this entire time in space and time is totally, our planets are totally giving us the power to enjoy freedoms. They're our rights. They're our birthrights. Your astrology chart is your birthright. And it is my great pleasure to read for you, to teach you astrology. You can find all those links on astrolada.com as well as on my website, 3keysastrology.com. So without further ado, let's talk about Ms. Maxwell. There is, by fate, a personality that's self-contained. This 0 degrees Uranus in her chart also reflects a 0 degree Mars. 0 degrees of any planet in any chart touches every single aspect in that chart, touches every single planet in that chart, touches every single house cusp in that chart. 0 is the alpha, the omega, all and nothing. And we're going to see that because Uranus in her chart really literally speaks the story of her life and what she's accused of doing. You see, Uranus is at 0 degrees with the malefic Pluto, Black Moon Lilith, and in a cluster with her moon in Leo. But Uranus, Pluto, Black Moon Lilith are all in the sign of the Virgin Virgo. And this is on her IC. The IC in the astrology chart is our roots, the ancestors, the end of life. And in this case, in a cluster of planets from Moon and Leo energy to her North Node in Leo, to Uranus at 0 degrees, to Pluto at 10 degrees, and to Black Moon Lilith at 12 degrees, we see malefic planets surrounding third house, conversation, speech, siblings, neighbors, and everyday communications, elementary learning as well. And then we see the horrible malefics in the House of the Virgin on her IC. The little girls that she procured for Jeffrey Epstein were prepubescent and or just had just entered puberty. They were indeed virginal, and they were indeed raped by the Pluto energy and shocked by the Uranian energy. Now, stay tuned because all of us astrologers on astrolada.com bring you an astrology marathon at Christmas time. And we're just starting to get ready to produce those videos with a lot of that will be your gifts for Christmas. And my feature and specialty, they're about 2022. I chose to give you some in-depth insight into Black Moon Lilith energy. It's always prevalent during eclipse times. And interesting, because the trial date starts 29 November and I'm sure it'll be public. Interesting is that where the north nodes are going right now in the Taurus Scorpio axis, the polarity of sex and money, in the 12th house in Ghislane Maxwell's chart, are indeed squaring her moon that's in that cluster of planets with Black Moon Lilith, Uranus, the north node, and the moon. Ghislaine Maxwell's mother was an educated woman, a French scholar, and Moon Leo predetermines some kind of regality and acknowledgement for things earned. Leo is the leader, but her sun is connected to Saturn, and she has a burn Mercury, and it's in the 8th house. And the 8th house is one of the critical houses in astrology. It's very fated. 4, 8, and 12 are my favorite houses. We that are Taurus and Scorpio like to dig in and dig underground like archaeologists and usurp what is hidden beneath the surface. We are not superficial people. The nodes are not superficial. And they have to do with everything about sex and money, what we personally value, what we like, and how this woman fell in her destiny. Um, but also her chemical makeup. So the planet that talks about androgyny, that talks about unisex, that talks about bisexuality and homosexuality happens to be Uranus. It's 0 degrees, as I told you, this infects her whole chart. And when you look at Ghislaine Maxwell, I teach my students how to rectify charts based on physiognomy. And I want you to know that when you look at her picture and her face, you'll see this elfin, mercurial mask of her face, the face she was given in this lifetime. Our faces change according to our circumstances. We look like we do because of our brains and the way we think. And I know that's difficult to wrap your head around, but your body is actually a result of the way you think, with whom you share your time, how you feed yourself, and by the air you breathe. That's true. A nice, content, peaceful soul, and somebody who's lived according to their destiny in peacefulness and soulfulness at the end of life show their age on their face. The life you live is shown in your face, your mannerisms, your speech, and your body. And I think that is so fascinating. I am 59 years old. I'll be 60 next May. We've seen people that have ravaged themselves with chemicals or alcohol and what they look like in life. We've seen people that have pinch mean faces, little skinny lips, and squinty eyes, and you can see that they are suspicious. They have trust issues, that they aren't so warm and fuzzy. So have a really good time when you're doing astrology, and never forget that that map that you're looking at, that that beautiful lingo of symbols and mathematics and geometry, for indeed it's a science and 4,000 years old. Don't forget there's a person. Flesh out that person. I'm an intuitive advanced astrologer. I came by my extra intuition at a life-changing critical moment, and I am a survivor of traumatic brain injury. 16 years out, and what I lost in cognitive ability and some of the cranial nerve damage in my face to my vision, my vestibular system, and actually the bones in my face. My mandible is broken right off my face. I got hit really hard. But what God and my angels and spirit guides gave me for compensation was a really keen, almost antennas to feel. And I was always very empathetic and compassionate, being a Cancer rising and a double Taurus. But in Ghislane Maxwell's case, when we look at her, we see an elfin face. You'll see this on Geminis. Sometimes on Virgos, there's a mercurial, elfin kind of curiosity and kind of mischievous glint in their eyes, if you will. She's Gemini rising. She's got the Geminian complex that I speak about in the video that I did in the analysis of her father and all of his farcical schemes, indeed, in identity. Who was he? He had more than one life. He had a secret life. He embezzled money from people that worked for him. He was in cohorts with someone who ran a Ponzi scheme, who's now being a whistleblower and coming out against this family. And when you really, please hear me, us everyday people, it is indeed in who we choose to share our company that forms our destiny. Choose wisely. I'll help you. I'll help you fit where you belong. I'll help you see your soul purpose if I read for you. And of course, if I teach you. I teach astrology one-on-one via Zoom. We meet for an hour and a half in 10-week modules. And at the end of 4 of those modules, you will have enough knowledge to open your own astrology practice. So back to Ghislane Maxwell's Uranus and Mars at 0 degrees. Mars is a masculine planet, and when you work with me, I send you a very colorful PDF at your first lesson and explain that Mars is the energy of willpower. It's the energy of the masculine energy of being outgoing and seeking, and ruler of Aries. It's what we're impulsive about, what things we go after. Her Venus and Mars are together, and she's got a cluster of planets in Capricorn. And we can see Capricorns have a reserve and a demeanor that is kind of stringent, rigid, and a little bit reticent and reluctant to trust. Saturn rules Capricorn, and she has her Saturn in dignity in the chart, but it's on top of, it's approaching her MC where Jupiter is in Aquarius. Aquarius means all the people. And as literal as astrology is in this real place in real time, we the people at the top of her chart where her reputation is, has big, huge, expansive Jupiter opposing her moon, Leo. Moon is the people as well. And she's in this dynamic not in a trial, accused of trafficking young girls. And it's not just here in America that she's been accused. Although the focus, I'm an American, I'm filming in America, the trial will be in America, there are also mirrored stories in the UK. This diabolical enterprise they involve themselves in. Just so you know, if you're in a foreign country or you've not heard this story, Jeffrey Epstein has some mysterious um, financial dealings. They say he's dead. They say he killed himself in prison, but the cameras are missing um, to what actually happened in a high security prison where he was in solitary confinement. So there's a lot of speculation about how that could even happen. It's just not normal. It's not the everyday protocol to have the cameras all of a sudden go off and then he's gone. That's where the speculation that he still might be alive comes from. So this Jeffrey Epstein owned homes all over the world, and he blackmailed many very powerful diplomats in America, a president or two in America. He was in high society parties, but he let these little girls that they drugged, fed alcohol to, and paid lots and lots of money when they were 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. All over the world, they would fly these little girls on a private jet that he had cameras in. And he had cameras planted all over his mansion, his homes, his Palm Springs um, compound that was an island where he testifies on YouTube, says right out loud in a film that he gets to be himself. And his himself, he in his inner being was a very perverted, demented, and twisted pedophile. And these little girls, they would take their passports and take their identity, their any if they had identification, and hold it. And they were on an island with no one to help them. On these airplane rides, massages were going on, oral sex was going on, all kinds of sex was going on. Ghislane Maxwell participated in this. 0 degrees Uranus and 0 degrees Mars with her Venus is saying that androgyny theme. We astrologers I teach that we can't make single statements without three indications in the chart. The androgyny being that she was, we can see in her short haircut. If you look at her pictures and remove the hair visually and remove the jewelry, this person's very androgynous. She lived in a man's world. She was aggressive and assertive by going after, in the form of a madam, these young girls that she lied to, connived, and cheated by paying them gobs of money that their families couldn't afford to pay them. And then they were shocked, the Uranus, Pluto, and Black Moon Lilith in the Virgin sign of Virgo, at her roots, the roots of who she is. These children were shocked by these malefic, diabolical energies of Uranus, Pluto, and Black Moon Lilith in deceiving the virginal young children that they severely and seriously harmed. Now, I have to tell you, I've experienced traumatic brain injury. I've done the work to unearth some things in my subconscious mind, some traumas from early childhood. The moon is that body in you. But without the help of an expert or a really good therapist, you'll keep acting out that subconscious mind, your moon, without even realizing it. And you'll do it over and over. That's why we make the same mistakes over and over again. That's why we fall in love with the same bad guy or bad girl or whatever if we're addicted. Why we keep doing the same things. It's that subconscious realm underneath. When your moon is near the IC, and that's about the public with all this malefic energy, it's amazing how literal astrology is. Because in the heart and home of where she lived with Jeffrey Epstein, and there are many homes all over the country, in her home in France, there were some diabolical, disturbing criminal activity going on. Our brains are not fully developed when we're teenagers. Hormones rage, but to get to have your first sexual experience to be used by an older man that's a monster, and the things that he asked them to do, and the shame that they felt, and with nowhere to go. But while he was deceiving them in a Geminian complex, Jeffrey Epstein was Sagittarian. And I also say you can see kind of a joker's mouth on the faces of the Sag. Their lips curl up, and their lips are almost only in the center of their mouth, but there's a kind of a check out your family and friends Sagittarian, you'll see that smile. It looks like the Joker from Batman's lips. Now, I'm an artist too and a writer. I'm a double Venus with my moon and sun, a new moon in Taurus. So yeah, I'm artistic, and yes, I notice these things, and what we look like really matters, and the way we present ourselves matters. Ghislane Maxwell had a stoic demeanor, still does. She is indignant. And whenever we love the planet Jupiter, it's beneficent and it can be a planet of great wealth. And she had it. And in Aquarius, at the top of her chart, she inherited again eighth house, codependency matters, Sun, Saturn, um, Mars, Venus, and all of this energy. Capricornian says, you don't get to see who I really am unless I trust you. And I don't trust very easily. And Capricorns will put on this air of authority. And she's even deemed a socialite. And British royalty is how they thought themselves. And yet, The parents are Jewish from Czechoslovakia, her father, and her mother French. And yet they all have British accents, and this traveled in the social circles of the esteemed, and that's how they conducted themselves. They want you to know that they're a cut above you, that Jupiter at the MC at the top of the chart in Aquarius opposing her moon. It's not the truth. It's not the truth at all. And when you see that other video, the celebrity webinar and the triple twist with Lori on Lada's channel where I analyze her father, you'll see all the dirty secrets. And when we come from that, karma, the nodes of our moon, those nodes are mathematical points around the moon the day you were born. All of this is squaring her north node in Leo. All of this is squaring her moon, who she really is. And with Pluto and Saturn, where they are at this space, at this time, I don't think she gets away with it. No matter how self contained she is, no matter how regal she pretends to be, no matter how much she laws up, because Ghislane Maxwell has always been surrounded by immense wealth, born into it, though her father came from deep poverty. And the heirs that she's acquired, having these special privileges, is going to be to her demise. We can't be people that we're not. She can't help it that she has bisexual tendencies. She actually participated in having sex with these young girls. And then in a masculine way, although she's female, she was that mommy Leo with Uranus, Pluto, Black Moon, Lilith, and her North Node. Mommy's not really a mommy when you bring your child to a middle-aged man who's almost 50 years old that they claim had erections all day long, and serviced himself over and over with these virginal young women. That's not mother energy. And the other interesting complex about that is that while she looks androgynous and dresses even masculine, she likes a masculine cut in her clothing. She's reliant on daddy. He gave her jobs. He paid for her Oxford education, where she earned herself a master's degree. Every job she had, her daddy appointed her to. He owned a football team in London. She was part of that, CEO of that group, and then always participated in the newspaper. Newspapers are very Geminian. Journalism's Geminian. They want to know who, why, where, what, when, how. But when it comes to herself, her son, her I am, she doesn't want you to know her real self. And with Gemini on the ascendant, there's two people in that one body. There's a woman and there's a man. There's somebody who likes to have sex with men and likes to have sex with women. There's somebody who likes to hold her power over others that are innocent, sweet, and nubile. The youth is mommy when she's making all this money. And the other thing about them is they used hidden cameras on their jets called the Lolita, where they flew these young girls to go have sex with these prominent official men. One sat on Donald Trump's White House. One is a renowned lawyer. They're all creepy. They're all older. I'm sure Viagra was in everybody's pocket because these guys were not young, innocent, and there was nothing pure or wholesome about what these people did to those little girls. I hope that you feel like I do about sex trafficking. I hope you are intuitive enough and bright enough, an astrologer or someone interested in astrology, to pay attention to the subconscious mind of the moon, to pay attention to the 12th house, the 8th house, and the 4th. For they're so telling about the emotionality of every human being. And we are not in control of our subconscious minds, neither are we in control of our autonomic nervous systems. Scars and pain and trauma like this lasts a lifetime. If you're fortunate enough to get a therapist to help you cope with that, it doesn't mean that it went away. Scars last for life, especially emotional ones. And I pray to God that these little girls get justice. I pray that Prince Andrew has to answer for his part in pedophilia. He's always involved with He always gets himself involved in controversial situations and then plays a big dummy. He didn't know. He wasn't there. That's not him. There's an amazing video. You can find it on YouTube too if you're interested in this story, where Prince Andrew voluntarily sits in front of cameras with the most amazing reporter I have ever seen. I think she deserves a Nobel laureate for her incredible work. She's got strong Virgo energy. And remember, Elaine has all these malefics in her virginal energy. It's just not there. It's evil, it's maligned, and it's twisted. But Emily Maitlis, in tiny little purposeful ways, pinpoints, directs, brings him back, calls him to task, though he's royalty and she's a journalist. And I encourage you to watch this, the best interview I've ever seen, where you can almost see Prince Andrew's nose growing like Pinocchio from one lie to the next, and how bad his body language tells on him while he's pretending he doesn't know these people, these girls, that place, and wasn't there, wasn't there, wasn't there. So we've got the royal family involved in this scandal. We have prominence, and we've got two faces, two lives, all these hidden agendas, and things are not what they seem. That's how it is in our Geminian houses. That's what is the Geminian complex. So I hope you stay tuned. My prediction is that she does not get away with this. And though she's been incarcerated since July 2020, she doesn't get away with this. Her time is up. And while her family is using social media and encouraging the UN to get involved in this, they weren't here. They, they, like you, like me, don't live in the houses of our adult children. We don't live with our neighbors in their private lives. So I give little credibility to the, I understand loving family when they've done wrong, and I understand that we want to remember the child people are, but she harmed a lot of people, and Jeffrey Epstein harmed a lot of people. And the legacy of her father inherited North Node in Leo, South Node in Aquarius, Moon opposite Jupiter, those three malefic planets, and Black Moon Lilith right on her moon. Moon are women, and these are children that were becoming women. And what a hell of a horrible, monstrous way to be initiated into sex for the first time with pedophiles and a woman who's bisexual, who's paying you to do things that you feel ashamed of and will for the rest of your life. So this is me, Lori, Lada's newest advanced intuitive astrologer, wishing you lots of curiosity, wishing that you use your critical minds and get your axes and your hoes out, your shovels, and dig deep. Come and study astrology with me. You will love it, and your life will be changed. This is a very rewarding, fulfilling career. You take care. Bye for now, and let's all pay attention to the trial of Ms. Ghislane Maxwell and hope she gets her due comeuppance. I do.